Did you know that we should remember the important people in our lives?
And that we should remember Jesus?
That's right, I'm Buckle.
And I'm Isla.
And welcome to The Link Show. Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Link Show, and like we said, guess what we're starting today? We are doing Easter! We have got a few weeks of Easter all lined up with heaps and heaps of fun.
But Buckle, what are we doing today to celebrate Easter?
Well, that's a great question. We're going to be doing a few weeks all leading up to Easter Sunday, and so today we're talking about remembering Jesus. There's a very special story in the Bible where Jesus and his disciples all got together, and so we're going to learn about remembering Jesus, and the way we're going to do it is we have got a very special craft that looks like this, which we're going to get started on in just a couple of minutes.
After that, we're looking at your art and crafts.
That's right. After that, we're going to be doing today's animated Bible story. Today's story is called The Last Supper.
After that, we've got today's Bible quiz.
That's right, all that coming up today on The Link Show. We're going to have so much fun. But we're going to get started on that craft, get coloring in. It actually is a bookmark, because when you're reading a book, you want to remember where you're up to in the book. And so we thought we'd make a bookmark that says, Remember Jesus. And so while we do that, how about you go check out Preach Part 1, because I did something a little bit special. Okay, so I want to do something a little bit different with you today because there was a moment when I was in school and I only had a couple of friends because I wasn't that good at making friends when I was younger. But one of my best friends at school, his family was actually leaving the town. The dad had got work elsewhere, and so in a few weeks they were all going to leave and I wasn't going to see him again for a long time. So what did we do? We had a pizza party. So in honor of that, I'm gonna go to the shops really quickly, grab a couple of ingredients, and not that we might have a pizza party right now with you as well. I'll be back in a sec, gonna go to Coles. All right, we're back already. That was fast, but let's take a look and see what we are going to use. Because we're gonna use a wrap base, barbecue sauce, ham, cabana. I love my cabanas. Capsicum, spinach, onion. I'm a fan of onion. I know you might not, but we'll put that down. And then last of all, last but not least, the most important ingredient of all for every pizza, cheese. So let's get started. Now, it wouldn't be a pizza party if I was on my own, so I am going to make two different pizzas, one for me, one for someone else, because that's what today's story is all about. Because today we're actually talking about a moment in the Bible called the Last Supper. You see, sometimes when you're going to say goodbye to someone for a long time, you know they're going away, you want to be able to celebrate the fact that they were in your life and that they are important to you. And so that's what we did with our friend at school. You see, we all got together on the last day of school at lunchtime and we all ordered pizzas. Now, obviously the pizzas didn't look like this. They were the normal ones that you might eat. But that was the way that we spent time together. We sat down and we had a meal. We wanted to eat food. We wanted to break bread together to celebrate the fact that we were best friends, but we weren't going to see each other for a long time. So our whole class all sat around and ate pizza. Let's keep working on these. Actually, I need something to cut these with. Hold on one sec. All right, we've got a cutting board, we've got a spoon to spread our sauce, we've got a knife so that we can cut the ingredients. I'm gonna spread the barbecue sauce out around on the base. And I'm actually gonna put more sauce on top, so I'm only putting a little bit on to start with. What should we go next? Let's go with the ham, so let's cut up some ham. Fantastic, so let's put some ham on these pizzas. These are going to be delicious. And this is always the joke, pineapple on pizza, yes or no? I am a yes, but the person I'm making the other pizza for is a no. I know, right? Next, we're gonna cut our capsicum, put that on the pizza as well. Next, we're gonna cut up some onion, put that on the pizza as well. Next, let's add some cabana. I love it. Next, we'll add a little bit of spinach. Not too much, because I still want the cheese to go on top. And then last but not least, cheese. Love my cheese on my pizza. And then like I mentioned, I actually like to drizzle a little bit of sauce on the top of my pizza as well, just because I think it makes it taste better. And we're done. So here's my question for you. Have you ever had someone that you care about, a close friend, or maybe a family member, maybe it was a cousin or an uncle, and they had to go away? Maybe they were moving house, or maybe they were going on a work trip somewhere else. Maybe it was a parent, your mum or your dad, and they had to go away for a week for whatever reason, and you knew that you weren't gonna see them again for a while. How did that make you feel. I knew that when my friend went away and I wasn't going to see him for a long time, I felt really sad because it brought me so much happiness to spend time with him. We would spend time at each other's houses all the time. We'd play cricket in the backyard. And the cool thing about where he lived is kangaroos would be jumping through the backyard while we were playing cricket. We'd play video games together. I reckon we hung out nearly every single week. And then all of a sudden, he was gone. But here's the thing. Even though he was going away, I knew that we were still going to be friends. We just weren't going to see each other for a while. And so, although we had a last meal together where we had pizza and we hung out, and it was a sad moment because I knew that it would be a while before I saw him, it was a happy moment as well because I knew that I would see him again one day in the future, and that when I got to see him again, I would remember how much we cared about each other. And so a little later on, we're actually going to take a look at a story in the Bible where Jesus knew that his time on earth was nearly up, and so before he went back to heaven, he did something special with his disciples so that they would remember him. But we'll talk about that in just a minute. Welcome back, everybody. That was so much fun. I can't wait to see how the pizza turns out once it's all cooked. But right now, we need to show you our bookmarks. So I've done mine with some purples and yellows and blues and oranges. I actually love having purple and orange together. I think they are two colors that look really, really, really cool. Plus I did the love heart in red because I love Jesus with all my heart. So I'm gonna put that in my book afterwards. Isla, what have you done with yours?
Well, mine's, all mostly blue and purple. For the words, I've done mostly like...
You've made like a pattern. It's like light blue, dark blue, light blue, dark blue. That's very special.
And then I think for the X bit...
The cross, yeah.
Cross, it's a dark blue. And for the love heart, I've done a tiny blue in the middle.
I love
and then
it
with the outside, purple.
Well, I love looking at your arts and crafts, but we want to take a moment and look at all of yours as well. Keep getting your teachers and leaders to send them through, so let's take a look at what you've done this week. Welcome back. You are so talented and so amazing, but right now, why don't we go check out today's animated Bible story?
Say hello to Jesus, the Son of God, the Savior of the world. And while Jesus was here on earth, he would travel from place to place, teaching people of God's love and healing their sick. It was coming close to the time of a festival called the Passover, and they were going to celebrate in Jerusalem. And so Jesus' disciples asked him, "Teacher, where should we go and prepare the meal for the festival?" Jesus said, "Go into the city and you will see a man carrying a jar of water. Follow him to the house that he enters and ask him this: 'Sir, the teacher is asking where the guest room is that he may eat the Passover with his disciples.' And he will show you to a large room already prepared." And so the disciples did as Jesus said, and sure enough, it happened just like Jesus had told them. Later that evening, while Jesus and his disciples were sitting around the table eating together, Jesus took some of the bread and said to his disciples, "This is my body given for you." And he passed the bread out for them to eat. He said, "Eat this and remember me." He then picked up a cup of wine and said, "This is my blood poured out to forgive the sins of the world." And so the disciples ate the bread and drank the wine that Jesus had given them. Jesus said, "This is the last time that I will eat and drink with you until we are all together in my Father's kingdom." Jesus told his disciples that one of them in the room eating with him would betray him. He said that it had to happen this way, but great sadness would be ahead of the man that betrayed him. The disciples started talking amongst themselves, saying, "Who could it be?" But one of the disciples named Judas came to Jesus and said, "Jesus, is it me?" Jesus replied, "You have said it." The other disciples asked Jesus, "Who is it?" And Jesus said to them, "It is the one who I give the bread to." And he gave the bread to Judas. And Jesus said, "Go and do what you're going to do." So Judas left, getting ready to betray Jesus. The other disciples didn't understand what was about to happen. And so Jesus comforted them and told them, "When I am gone, God will send a helper to be with you." And so they all sung a song to God.
You see, in this story, Jesus knew that he was going away, but he wanted his disciples to remember that he wasn't disappearing. He wasn't no longer going to exist. He was still going to be their friend. He still cared about them, and he wanted them to remember him as well. And so he got them together and he said, "I'm going away soon, but I want you to remember me." And so when you get together as friends, all of you disciples, get some bread, break the bread, eat the bread. Remember that I love you. And what's about to happen, I'm letting it happen because I care about you. And then Jesus took something to drink and he had a drink. I've got my Pepsi Max because I love Pepsi Max. And he took some and he said, "Drink this. Whenever you drink this, remember me. Remember how much I care about you. And what I'm about to do, I'm doing it to help you." You see, the Bible tells us that Jesus, when he finished his time here on earth, he went back to heaven, but he's not gone forever. The Bible also says that he's coming back again. And so that's why it's so important that we always find times to remember Jesus, that we remember how much he loves us. Remember that he wants to be our friend. And even though you can't see Jesus, you can talk to him. Like my friend, we would call each other on the phone, and although we couldn't see each other, we could still talk. That you can talk to Jesus, you can pray to God, and you can ask for help. And so today, while we're starting our Easter series, I want you to take some time and think about what things do you do to make sure that you never forget, because this is what our big point is today. It's what I want us to remember, that we should always remember Jesus. All right, Isla, you know what it's time for. I hope everyone was paying attention. Let's do the Bible quiz. The way this is going to work is I'm going to ask you a question with two possible answers. If you think the first answer is correct, put your hands on your head like this. If you think the second answer is correct, put your hands on your shoulders. Here we go with question number 1. Okay, in the story, Jesus and his disciples were going to celebrate a special festival, like a big party. What was it called? Was it called Passover? Or was it called a birthday party? You've got 5 seconds. Okay, Isla, what do you think the answer is?
Passover?
It was Passover, that's right. Good job. Let's go with question number 2. What city did Jesus and his disciples go to celebrate Passover? Did they go to Brisbane or did they go to Jerusalem? You've got 5 seconds. Isla, what do you think the answer is?
Brisbane!
No, it wasn't Brisbane.
Oh.
It was Jerusalem. I reckon all the kids got that one correct though, because they're so smart. Here we go with question number 3. When Jesus took the bread and gave it to his disciples, because he was helping them remember Jesus, remember? He said, "This is my what?" Was it "this is my body" or "this is my breakfast"? You've got 5 seconds. Isla, what do you think the answer is?
My body.
That's right, this is my body, because Jesus knew what was about to happen. Okay, question number 4. Okay, when Jesus took the drink and passed it around for everyone to drink, he said, "This is my what?" Did he say, "This is my blood" or "This is my Pepsi Max"? You've got 5 seconds. Okay, Isla, what do you think the answer is?
Pepsi Max.
No, it's not Pepsi Max.
Oh.
He said, "This is my blood." All right, here we go. Last question, question number 5. And this is what today's big point is all about, so you should get this correct. Why did Jesus share the bread and the wine? He said, "When you eat and drink this, do it to do what?" Was it to remember Jesus, or was so that you wouldn't be hungry? You've got 5 seconds. Okay, Isla, what do you think the answer was?
So they wouldn't be hungry.
No, it's so they would remember Jesus. Because that's what we learned today, that we should remember the important people in our lives.
And that Jesus is the most important person.
That's right, and that's why we should remember Jesus. My name is Buckle.
And my name is Isla.
And we'll see you next week on The Link Show.
Bye, everyone.